All right, welcome everybody. This is Seth Kendall with Jenson USA, and we are bringing you episode number 1 of Behind the Brand. This is a new podcast slash video cast where we get to know the brands that we carry here, the people behind them. We'll talk about their products a little bit, but we really want to just step behind that brand and figure out who's making this magic happen. So today I am joined by Aaron Kerson of PNW Components. So thanks for coming down to Southern California.
Oh man, it's so nice being warm.
How are you how are you enjoying the weather since you've gotten down here?
This is good. So the week up until coming down here, it was 30s and it was sunny, which is good, but it was completely frozen trails and definitely like fingers are completely tingling and whatnot, but this is nice, man. It's funny, when I checked in the hotel, I was like, oh, it's so nice. It's like 60s out, and the girl's like, this is ridiculously cold. This is horrible. I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Yeah.
People's their metric gets skewed in their different locations. Our weather, I'm also in the Northwest as well, but a little bit south of where Aaron's at, and our weather there was a little wetter. We had some dry days and stuff, but it kind of kept me stuck to the pump track. So no frozen trails for us right now, but a concrete pump track works all days. So. Oh man,
that gets you warm though.
Yeah, it's awesome. Crazy. Like I go out there, I start with some sort of jacket or something, and by like lap 2, totally down to a t-shirt. And
no, I get soaked on those things. So that's good. You said it's paved?
Yeah, it's a paved one. It's a Velo Solutions track.
There's one of those in Leavenworth, right over the hill from us.
Got built at the same time.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's actually part of how we got ours. Was this lady Olivia knew that there was one being built in Madras near Bend, and then the Leavenworth one, and so she basically snuck in and got us a discount, so because we didn't have to fly the crew in.
Nice.
So it worked
for
out.
The price of 2. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. It worked.
Awesome.
It worked fantastically. So, nice. But it's super fun, rad time. So, let's jump into the brand, and then we'll kind of dig into you. So, PNW Components is obviously Pacific Northwest, for those who may not know. You guys are based out of Seattle.
Yeah.
You guys started there. How did you end up in the Seattle area?
So the 2 owners. So it's myself and then Emily.
All right. And
Emily's my wife, and also head of all of our marketing, branding, everything. Cool. Basically anything visual that you see on our website or whatever it may be. Product is like graphics on the product. That's all her.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. All the copywriting and all that. So
she's the kind of like pretty art side of things, and the creative side.
She's like giving a personality to very boring operational things, such
all right,
as ordering products.
Does that make you the boring operational side?
That would be me. That would be me. Yeah. Okay. So I handle more, the sales side of things, product development, working with the factories, ordering, forecasting.
Okay.
Then I almost fell asleep saying
that.
But that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
Okay, so it got started. So we were both in the bike industry. I was developing bikes at Specialized and then later at Marin. Cool. And then Emily was doing marketing at Marin as well. So we had met before that, but we both did end up there. So we were doing that, and then ended up in Seattle. So Emily's from there, and so she's got family up there. So we kind of got together, and we're thinking, there's at this time at least, a pretty big hole in the market we felt for a brand that really takes, is completely focused on taking care of their customers, making sure customers are happy, and then delivering really high quality product at much lower prices than people are used to spending. So that's kind of started looking around. We're like, I think we can do this better. So nice. we gave it a try. Basically, I reconnected with factories that I used to work with, which is pretty unique for a brand our size because we're able to get pretty similar pricing to what I was paying in very high volumes.
Yeah.
And then, we're able to follow that up with top-notch customer service and make sure, we get emails quite often like, wow, I was not expecting you to like actually help me out here. This is great. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave you hanging, dude. Like, that's horrible. So,
and it's
big
always
focus
that
on
thing,
that.
right? Like, in a sense, being like CEO, right? Like, to have that person reach out to a customer is a pretty powerful thing.
True. Yeah. I mean, I do all of our customer service at this point. Anything that comes in, I'm answering personally because I want to make sure I understand, are there any trends in what's coming through? Is there something we need to jump on now that I should be aware of? And then as we grow, how do we scale that same level of
Yeah.
customer service?
So the co-owners are you and your wife.
Yeah.
Any other employees?
Yeah, so we have the whole team's remote. So
Okay.
we let everyone work where they would prefer,
Awesome.
which is kind of cool. It gives people, we obviously trust them with, making sure that, we assume that they're doing the work, right? So that's a big piece. But with that, you get flexibility to get your work done when you want to.
Yeah.
I've worked in areas where, or at companies where literally it's like, well, why are you leaving? I'm like, oh, I got things done for the day and I worked a little over the weekend. They're like, well, it's not 5 yet. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? So we want to make sure people are able to get things done and kind of wind into your day. Like, my kind of normal routine is get up super early and start working, and then I do something else for a few hours in the middle of the day and then come back and work at night. So it's
Right
kind of
on.
it works for me, and
Yeah.
Emily's got a totally different routine and we just make it work.
Yeah.
So
No, it's similar for me, work remote for
Totally.
Jensen, which totally blessed. It's been an awesome thing
Yeah,
that
you've got a good
allowed
setup.
us to kind of finish up my wife's career and then still maintain my career with the company that I've kind of loved for almost 10 years now. And so it's really been awesome. There was a lot of learning curve to working remote,
Definitely.
Like that's a whole different ball game trying to keep yourself motivated and stuff. So
Well, in for us, the added dynamic of working together, growing this company, and we're married, so
Yeah.
like you have to create a separation
Yeah.
of kind of the church and state, right? It's like we have to have a relationship as a couple, and then as coworkers,
yeah.
which has been interesting. It's been really a big adjustment.
So do you guys have an office space in Seattle, or is this like?
So we actually both of us are working out of our home offices. So she has
Okay.
a separate area than I do.
Yeah.
And so we really do treat it as like a disciplined thing,
Yeah.
right? Like we'll chat, but a lot of it's kind of like online.
You send
through-
emails to each other across
There's a little
the
bit of
house?
that, yeah, for sure. If there's something we need to talk about, we will, but we don't want to get into a thing where we're disrupting each other's work. So we
Right.
have a set meeting, of the weekly check-in, and then we do a daily thing too. So
Nice.
yeah, it's just getting a
Now-
little structure around it.
For me, working from home, I had to really define an area of my house that was my
yeah.
office, and I basically don't hang out there
I don't at all.
like ever.
No.
Unless I'm having to show like my wife or something on a big computer monitor.
Yeah.
I basically never touch that zone. Is that pretty much the same for you guys?
Oh, same thing. Yeah, I've got my work area set up, and I never go
Yeah.
back there otherwise.
Awesome.
Which I think, because I've heard from so many people like who maybe work out of their bedroom or something like that, or a common living space, that you never feel like you've gotten away from work.
Right.
And that's something I didn't want to get into, because you don't want to get resentful of your own home.
Right.
It's never a good thing. So
Especially when you
Yeah.
like try to go to sleep and you're just looking at your desk like, I hate you
that
so
monitor
much.
is just staring at you. You're like, no,
Right.
leave me
So-
alone. Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so obviously you guys have Dropper Post is kind of your primary products
Yeah.
here. How did you land on that as a product choice?
God, back in 2012, I had a need for a lower cost dropper to spec on some bikes at Specialized.
Okay.
Because we had, the Command Post, but that's a pretty premium dropper, especially at the time. It was one of the only options back then, right? So, anyway, the price was prohibitive to put it on more affordable bikes. So, got to working with, finding a factory and creating a dropper with them, basically, that was lower cost. Over time, that factory developed into the largest manufacturer of droppers, I believe, at this
Okay.
point.
Wow.
So they've come a long way since then. But because of that relationship and getting, developing droppers with them for a while, I was able to reconnect with them and say, hey, here's what I want to do. Are you guys able to support this? And we collaborated on basically bringing the droppers to us, which is awesome. So, like I said, the price is a big one. The fact that their quality is so high, going back to creating a brand focused around customers, is a big piece of that has to be reliable product.
Yeah.
And it has to be affordable, right? And
Right.
the two of those don't often intersect, but because of this situation, it does, which is pretty cool. So
Very
that's
cool.
basically how we got it kicked off. And since then, we've expanded a lot. Like, we came in with one dropper, externally routed, at the head of the post.
Yep.
So when you lower it, this cable goes everywhere. It just was not ideal. And since then, we've expanded our internal routing. We've gone into 27.2 droppers, which is huge for us. And then we have externals too.
Yeah, so the 27.2 thing's interesting,
Oh my God,
right?
it's
because
awesome.
it's so underserved. And
It's in such such a broad demographic,
Yeah,
right? It's
the
everything from
audience
like
is huge, right?
cross country, like World Cup racer, all the way through like fat bike, steel hardtail, plus bikes, whatever it may be, and now gravel bikes.
Yeah.
And cyclocross. It's like, holy cow. So yeah, through that we've the challenge of that is like, how do you get that message out to all these different demographics?
Right.
So that's a challenge for sure. We're still trying to figure out. But the fact that we have that product has been huge for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And I almost didn't even bring it in. I was like, 27.2, really?
Yeah.
I was like, whatever, I'll bring some in. We'll see how it goes. And it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to you guys bringing in the 27.2, I had a steel hardtail that I loved and ripping it around, but I knew I wanted a dropper post on it. And man, that market was slim. Like it was hard to find something, and I had to basically short travel it to get less travel out of that seat post.
Yep.
Because there just wasn't options. And I've since sold that bike, and so like that's not a post that I need anymore. But I keep like looking back, going, if only.
Yep.
So,
No, it's still a challenge. So the big thing with 27.2 is when you have such a small diameter sticking way out of a frame, that's a ton of force on this one area where the collar is, right?
Right.
So, and on top of that, of course, the go-to would be like, oh, we'll just increase the wall thickness of the tube, right? The problem is you have moving parts inside this post.
Right.
They can only get so small.
Right.
So the challenge that we have with that is, people want more and more travel, and we're incrementally getting there. We started with 80 millimeter. We now have, we had a 105 travel after that, and now we have 110 millimeters, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
But it's not as fast as these bigger posts.
Yeah, and luckily, I think most hardtails require less travel because of how they're, like, kind of the nature of the bike, right?
Totally.
The style of the ride. But with that being said, like, yeah, I think my first one was 80, and I was just like, if I could have 100, that would be dreamy, So it is what it is, but no, it's awesome to see that you guys are serving that market, and I especially am curious on the gravel side of things because, I like road riding. That's actually where I came from originally, which seems so foreign to me at this point.
Yeah.
But I like road riding, but I like road riding with like a really fat tire bike. And I like to just be like, I'm going to dip off here. And, oh, look, there's that root section that I'm going to try to gap.
Yeah.
And, and that ability to drop that seat out would be something that would be really beneficial. My bike's currently not a 27.2, so I might be putting something else from you guys on there.
Yeah. We have options.
But that brings me to that next piece is you guys actually are you the only or one of the few that has an actual like drop bar or CX style lever?
So there's a few options out there. I think we were one of the first to actually bring it to the market because we'd been hearing about different ones from different brands, but there's a handful at this point, which is cool, and that's gonna just keep exploding. Like it's challenging because you have the drop bar, you have the hoods, you have a very different setup. So making that work where it's ergonomic, convenient, and functional is really challenging because you're talking about like, do you put it on the side of the bar? Is it on top of the bar? Is it down in the drops? Because that's the other thing is sometimes you're riding on top, sometimes you're down below.
Right.
Where's the best spot for the lever? So
that's I haven't spent time on
parts.
yours yet, but looking at it, I look at that, I'm like, man, it looks like I could spend time pretty much, like I'm almost always on the hoods, especially off-road. But there are those occasional times where I'll be in the drops and, trying to aim at that. And it looks like I could still hit it with my thumb and get it. So.
That's the thing is you can kind of pop it.
Yeah.
And it works.
Okay.
Or get it inside. Because the thing with the lever is you can mount it either way. You can have it on the outside where like you literally are just using your like palm of your hand.
Okay.
Or down below with your thumb.
Interesting.
Which is cool. So yeah.
Nice.
No, it's fun. It's I'm really excited to see where that goes.
So I'm just hoping that what this leads to is a new Ibis Haka video with Jeff Kendall-Weed on it with the loam lever or with the CX lever on there and him just sending it off of things because
Jeff,
like
are you down?
Jeff,
Let's do this.
The call is here.
That'd be super cool.
You work with this guy. You work with this guy. Let's make magic happen.
Yeah, because I can say I won't be doing that, but if there is someone, I think Jeff is the guy.
Yeah, no. When I say I jump my cross bike, I mean I jump it. not I jump it.
No, no gaps.
Like,
I saw a video of a guy like hitting actual like legit dirt jumps on a gravel bike last week, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, and they're backflipping and doing all this stuff.
Oh,
Don't worry,
bizarre.
Jeff, we're not asking you to backflip.
No, just one jump.
Yeah, send it like you do on your other DV9 and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So awesome. Okay, so you've got employees working remote and
Sorry,
stuff like
we didn't
that.
really get into that. Yeah, so our industrial designer slash he does some engineering for us, like we're developing a new pedal and a grip with him. He's actually in Argentina.
Did you hear that, everybody? You
Yes.
got the inside line.
Oh yeah, we have new products. coming out.
Grips and pedals coming
soon.
Super secret, by the way. Just so you know.
This is just going to a few people.
Yeah,
right?
I think 3 people.
Yeah. So we've got Francisco, and then we have our engineer, so he developed the loam lever, right? So he's from Portland, but he's actually in Taiwan. So the beauty of that is he's able to go to all the factories as often as possible, make sure quality's good, make design tweaks like on the fly. The challenge is, for me to do that, it's super expensive, and then that cost goes back into recouping through higher prices.
Right.
Not something we want to do, but also it's just it's a major distraction. Like going to Taiwan often is absolutely necessary, but when we have a team this small, it's really tough for me to get over there enough.
Yeah.
And stay on top of everything else. So he's there, and then we've got someone who helps us with some of our advertising, like through targeting and figuring out how to get our message to the right people. He's in Manchester in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, worldwide.
So we're spread out for sure.
That's
but it's cool because we get one issue I remember when developing bikes was you live in this one area, you go to this office, everyone you work with is sort of on the same page in terms of what a bike should be. So you kind of get tunnel vision, right? And so every time you travel, it's really important to get these other perspectives. By having our team global, we're getting all types of opinions and all types of feedback. Because like the riding in the Pacific Northwest and the whole vibe there is very different than it would be in the UK, obviously.
Right. Yeah,
very different. There's similarities, but it's like we need to know these regional differences.
Yeah, and we've experienced that with the handful of employees that we've had remote, and myself specifically, working in kind of the marketing side of things. When I moved to the Midwest for 4 years, it was eye-opening, not just to myself, but I think to the rest of like the marketing team that I work with, that like it's different. That culture is different of riding. The style of riding is different. The gear demands are different. Like all that
Short
stuff.
travel 29ers, like more narrow bars because of tighter trees. I kept hearing this feedback over and over from Midwest and like Texas, and I'm like, I don't get it. What do you mean? Why would you want that? And then I go there and I ride. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like what I'm designing makes no sense for this area.
The regionality of this stuff is pretty incredible, and it leads to very different styles of riding and stuff. Like
totally.
My friends out of the Midwest, like it's a really playful style of riding where it's monitoring every little whoop and like you manual that thing or you slash a little corner or whatever. It's not quite as powerful of riding as what I've kind of experienced out on the West Coast.
Sure.
But it's
a preservation of speed and maintaining that momentum, right? It's a lot of pumping and things like that.
And one of the things that surprised me that like kind of floored me is, I'd been riding here, lots of hills, often actual mountains and stuff. And so my pedaling was pretty good. And I got out there and I found myself getting roasted because it's so like flowy up and down instead of like massive climbs and stuff. You're basically in a full-on sprint all the time. And it was actually one of the times where I fell more in love with my dropper post, kind of to bring it back to the brand, because you spend so much time in and out of the saddle there that there aren't these long moments where you just like pop your dropper up and just grind up a hill and then you drop it down and you bomb down a hill. There's not much of that, but the up and down, like you found that like doing the half-inch drop was really important and stuff like that. So
it just being able to just like you said, kind of set it maybe halfway down the travel or whatever it may be, and continue to pedal and stand up as needed. Like that's big. And it's very easy to lose sight of that because especially a lot of the riding up where we are, it's like you climb straight up and then you come straight down. So it's a little different where you're not doing this undulating thing where a dropper really pays off.
Awesome.
Which is cool. We have quite a few customers in the Midwest. It's fun.
Very cool. Well, so while we're on droppers, let's talk about you've got a pretty wide range. We have another video out, so check that out. It'll be on our YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing it with Aaron and stuff, so you can find it probably through their site and everything. So we'll make sure you have access to this. But on the dropper post, you have a pretty wide range of dropper post, and the latest one that's coming out is this new Bachelor.
Oh, man,
and Bachelor's like your halo product, right?
Yep.
Like, if you guys don't know, Mount Bachelor is a pretty famous mountain in Oregon, in Central Oregon by Bend, and so
awesome riding.
Awesome riding, both mountain and snowboard ski, just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal conditions.
Yeah, man, the new Bachelor, so the Bachelor is what we brought into the market as like our highest end product, right? And so we've had that, I think about 2 years now. But obviously market continues to change, and we needed to, continue iterating this thing, right? So what's very exciting about the new one is it comes spec'd with our new loam lever. So that's a big deal. We've been getting a lot of requests for that, and with that, higher end product, it's a no-brainer. Like we're making it happen. So I'm really excited about that. I think that packaged together, from my humble opinion, I think we'll be up there with, one of the best kits on the market, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and I have yet to spend any time on the new post, but I have ridden the other post, and they've performed phenomenally, and I'm currently on the loam lever with a competitor post, but man, that lever, like, every time we talk, this is what I say, right? I'm like, geez Louise, like, supposed to write impartial reviews where I find negative things, and I'm like, it doesn't have more thumb pad colors. Like I'm running out of ideas to come up with for that. And sheesh, the machining on it is just stunning. The adjustability is so good, and I think that's the best part, right? Because like, I'm really particular about my brake lever position, my shifter position. I'm really particular about that stuff. Like, I'm the guy out with like a protractor and like.
Oh no, I'm the same way. If they're a little bit off, I'm like, it just drives me crazy.
And I'll spend hours working on it too. Yeah. And I did find myself with the loam lever. The first day I just threw it on, and I was like, okay, just experience it raw. And went out there, enjoyed it. It was great, but it was not the same as my shifter lever. Like the positioning just was off. And so I spent more time than my wife would care for adjusting it in my garage, and then like doing laps out on the driveway and stuff, and then getting back in the garage and
validating it. Yeah, no, totally.
It was a fair bit of time, but the next time I hit the trails with it, it was like it felt so natural because it matched my right hand side. So everything just felt all right. And one of the things that I found unique about it is you guys have that adjustable like throw position, or
the reach adjust.
The reach adjust, so you have that. And I was worried a little bit that by throwing the reach farther forward and kind of hiding the lever a little under the bar, that I was actually going to lose the actuation of my post, right? Because you're reducing the amount of throw that happens. Totally didn't happen.
It's got a very wide range.
Yeah, incredibly wide.
I mean, we had to basically, we were kind of debating like, should we put a spring into it, right? Issue with the spring is at a certain point, it's going to max out how much distance it's able to open up, right? So how much pool there is. So bailed on that idea, and then really it came down to like, we need to make this thing compatible with more than just our product, right? And test that. So we tested with, I can't think of a brand we didn't test it with. But like you mentioned, that's because it really does have like a full range of motion, which is cool. So even if you have that set screw all the way, or the thing's basically under your bar, you're still going to be able to actuate your post, which is cool. So no, I'm glad you appreciate that.
That's cool. I think that was the piece that was most surprising to me, because I mean, when you pull it out, it's obviously beautiful, it's well machined and all that kind of stuff. And I've said it in the other videos we've done that like it's. Right now, it's king of the levers, in my opinion. This, we'll let our customers choose their own. But if you're asking the Seth Kendall opinion, like this is the one. And it's pretty. It works well. It's adjustable. It's lightweight. Like it's all the things. And it's got a higher end price tag to that, but it's not a brutal price tag when you consider the amount of tech that went into it and how good it is.
Same price as our biggest competitor.
Right.
That's something to keep in mind. I mean, the challenge with it is we aren't making a ton of money on that thing. I can tell you right now, like it is truly I call it more like it's been crafted, right? Like that thing is not the mass production that we're all used to.
Yeah.
We've used factories outside of the bike industry so that we can get the highest level of quality. The other part is, when we're all in the same factories, everyone sees each other's stuff. So we wanted to make sure there's a bit of protection there. I mean, it's on the market, so we're going to see one with an injected pad. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like we wanted to make sure we were working with factories that were the right size for us. We're not the biggest brand out there, obviously. Yeah. The other piece, though, is it has to be high quality. So like we went to a place that has CNC machines. There's various types. More traditional is called 4-axis, so it's able to move this certain way. We have one that's a 5-axis, and they're pretty rare. They're harder to find. Okay. But as a result of that, we're able to get incredibly precise and smooth machining on the product, which is huge. Yeah. Like that really does set it apart. And then we go with a glass bead blast for the finish, so it's more of a satin finish rather than sandblast.
Yeah.
That all costs more. So
and that leads to a really beautiful effect too, because it's got the machining marks that I described it almost like topographical, right?
Yeah.
Like it has
the little lines.
It has that little line, and it gives it a texture that I don't know. It made it feel richer to me just because there was like a nuance to it,
Yeah, I mean that was something we wanted to accomplish. Is the CNC marks look really cool. Mm-hmm. They're going to happen regardless, but when you sandblast, that all goes away because you're just completely changing the surface. But with this glass bead blast, you're able to maintain those cool looking tech marks and still have a little satin finish, which is cool. So
and it's incredibly light. What 40?
Oh, I want to say it's like 40. I think it's 48, I believe, with the clamp. So I mean, it's like nothing.
Yeah, so
really
like super
nothing.
light lever.
Yeah,
but it's also crazy robust. I shared my anecdotal story of a competitor lever that blasted off in the most minor wipeout. Yeah. And wipeout's probably an overstatement. It was a slight washout.
Bumped your knee on it or something,
Yeah, bumped my knee on it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I just ended my ride because now my dropper's like stuck in some weird
holding
position.
It in your hand and trying to
get it to
go.
I rode out, but I wasn't in an ideal setup or whatever.
Sure.
Anyways, and this thing, man, I swear I could just smash it into things and it would hold up.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we've tested it and built it to be burly. I mean, if we're going to be a premium level product, it's got to perform.
Yeah.
It can't just look pretty.
Ultimately, this plays into your kind of customer focused aspect of things, right? You want your customers to know that your products are dependable.
Yes.
And it's probably easier in some ways on you guys because if there's less product having issues and malfunctions from wrecks, that's less people that you're having to help out because there's nothing damaged, right?
From a business standpoint, it does save money by investing in, robust product development up front.
Yeah.
And we take, I'll be totally honest, we do take sacrifices. Like our droppers are not the lightest on the market, and I'm completely fine with that because what we do is we start with ensuring this thing is reliable, work our way until removing weight until we get to a point where that's sacrificed, and then we say no, that's it. So that's the lever worked out where it is very lightweight. Not to say our droppers are pigs, they're not. Yeah. But we are not the lightest on the market, and it is what it is. Like I'd rather have my post work and not be tinkering on my bike on the trail.
Yeah.
That's a very common complaint we've heard from customers coming from other brands. And I'm like, that's not what we want to have happen.
And I think the people getting into dropper post are not looking for that ultra lightweight carbon post.
Sure, because those are out there.
They're out there,
No, I mean, it's impressive that they are. But we're taking a different focus. Yeah.
Longevity is a way bigger issue and stuff. On that note, serviceability. On your dropper post, what's the lifespan in a sense, or the service span?
So all of our droppers 3-year warranty. Okay. And then outside of that, so to service these, it's as needed. Like we don't have a scheduled, X amount of hours means you got to tear it apart. It's really if it ever starts to feel sticky.
Okay.
We have a very simple process. You just take the post apart, wipe it down, relube it, put it back together.
Okay.
Like there's very little inside the post. It's kind of crazy. There's the cartridge. Basically with the cartridge, either it works or it doesn't. And it happens pretty immediately if there's ever going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And then with that, obviously, we swap them out if there is a problem. Our defect rate's very low. Like we're talking
Yeah.
2% of what we sell ever has to get replaced in a warranty, which is incredible.
That's pretty
I'm
awesome.
super happy about that.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that sets us apart. But yeah, the service is like no big deal at all. Because again, I don't want people having to buy special tools to bleed it or change O-rings out or anything like that. Like basically all of those components are inside the cartridge. It's all sealed. Just swap it out if you ever need to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
so,
are they able to swap out the cartridge at home, or is this a
Oh, yeah.
send-in process?
No. It takes 5 minutes.
Awesome.
If that ever needs to happen, just using normal tools. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something anyone
Yeah.
can do.
And that's what people are looking for, right? Like
yeah, I mean, we had been, I both. I mean, just over the years, just you buy products and sometimes they have issues, right? And we had been burned so many times and kind of treated like we had done something wrong, like,
oh, yeah.
like, well, what were you doing to this thing? It's like, I don't know, I was just riding, man.
JRA,
dude, what do you want?
Just riding along.
I was just riding along. So there's a lot of that. And I don't know, I'm like, this is bizarre. I'm getting treated this way for a product failure. Like, I don't think I did anything wrong. Or even if I did, like, I'd fess up to it and just want to get it taken care of. So with that in mind, like, we wanted to make sure that was not something that we were doing back to people, right? Because that's there's a lot of fantastic customer focused brands, but I'm just saying I'd experienced a lot that weren't.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre to me that still exists. So anyway.
It's definitely an odd thing. So.
Yeah.
Well, let's get in a little bit to your history here.
Yeah.
Obviously you ride bikes. We rode today together.
So fun.
For the first time in Southern California.
Yeah.
So we didn't even meet in our neck of the woods.
No.
But the trails behind Jenson here at Sycamore Canyon, I hadn't ridden these in a long time.
Yeah, you were like, I've been here a million times and I don't recognize any of this stuff. This is all new.
Most of it was foreign.
Which is cool. Yeah.
It was actually pretty nice because he led me into some of the tech and jumps because I just didn't know where they were at.
Yeah, you're like, what is this?
But we rode with our buddy Matt, and he took us around,
Yeah.
saw a bunch of different
Matt
things.
was flying.
Dude, Matt's way fast. Way fast. Like,
Yeah, Matt was sick.
And let me tell you, I think he was riding at 6 today,
Yeah.
not at 9 or 10.
I could see there was some times
like-
where he was just kind of chilling, but still flying. I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah.
yeah, there's more in the tank.
Yeah,
for sure.
that guy's got some kind of XC thing going on in his brain and body that just is
Oh, yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
So
That's the interesting thing is it's very much just punchy climb and then downhill. So
Yep.
there's a lot of consistent pedaling. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's definitely it's a totally different fitness than I'm used to.
Right,
'Cause it's,
right.
For us, it's like you grudge up a mountain, but
Yeah,
there it's just like,
post canyon trails for me, like, I mean, you start at the bottom and it's an hour later you finally get up to
Yep.
the top and you're like, oh, okay, and then you descend and then just climb back up it.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, so obviously you've got some skills. You actually did some jumps today that both Matt and I went, yeah, that's cool. We'll let you do that. Some cool step ups and stuff.
Yeah.
What's kind of your history in riding that
yeah.
gives you this kind of skill and talent?
So started out in BMX, just
Okay.
I sucked at it, but I raced BMX and
Yeah.
did that. So growing up in the city of Napa, we had the Napa BMX track, and
Yeah.
that got they'd have nationals there and stuff.
Yeah. Is that still around?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Different area.
Okay.
Like the old one got torn down and is a parking lot now, but there is a new spot and it's it's
Very
it's
cool.
fun. It's super fun. I try to hit that up if I go visit my family. So did that and then started getting into mountain bikes. Like a friend of mine's brother left their 24-inch rock hopper back in like 1996 at my house, and I started riding it around. I'm like, oh man, this is because I was like chunky kid. I didn't play sports or anything, and so I got on that and like just was hooked immediately. This was when I was probably like 11. Just completely hooked on mountain biking. So gradually got more and more into it. Started working at shops to start EPing stuff and keep the costs down. Basically, most of my paycheck went to bikes. And was racing mountain bikes. So I raced the Norba circuit and dual slalom and downhill a little bit. The dual slalom definitely lended itself to BMX for sure. Pretty similar. But yeah, I mean, mainly what I did was dirt jump. Like that was about all I did from 16 to maybe like 22 years old.
Oh, wow.
That was mainly what I did on a mountain bike, but still like that's about it. And then I got into trail riding, around, so I was like 22, 23, something like that. So I was kind of a little late to the game for, no, it was later than that. I'm trying to remember now. But anyway, I think it was around 2010 is when I got into trail riding.
Yeah, see, I wish that was my story because I grew up riding BMX, but I was born and raised in Hawaii, and like we used it to get to the bus stop, right? Like that was what it was for.
Yeah.
I skated a lot, but then really what brought me back into bikes was like road riding and triathlon, and like that stuff was awesome. It helped me get back in shape, and some kind of got me back into life that was actually healthy. And man, but if I were to rewrite my story, it would be like, I was a BMX kid who like rode skate parks all the time. Then I got into dirt jumping and was doing that, and now look, I shred on a mountain bike, and instead I'm like this like post roadie who's like trying to like make it work on a mountain bike, and like I ride all right, don't get me wrong,
no definitely,
but nobody's gonna like go home and be like, dude, Seth sent it. Like, that's just not a thing.
You named a rock called BFR, though. You've ridden that. Nothing was literally straight down. So no, there are definitely quite a bit of skill in there. No, I hear what you're saying, man. I think a lot of my friends that came from same as you, like, there's definitely a massive learning curve. The good thing is I got my, like, knock on wood, like, my worst crashes when I was younger and healed quickly, right? Like breaking my back, and breaking some ribs, and just like bruised intestines and just weird stuff from my landed on my handlebar off of a jump and stuff. So got those out of the way. So I think that kind of sets a foundation, and now I'm able to just ride, which is fun. So
very cool.
So it was, kind of just an absolute bike obsession, and working in shops was cool.
So obviously we have your bike back here that you brought with you.
Yes.
This beautiful rig and set up with all kinds of cool stuff.
So orange.
Very orange. What else is in your collection, or is this it? Is she the beast, or?
No, so this is the daily, trail bike. I've got a YT2s downhill bike. So we were 4 hours from Whistler, so that's like the summer bike. It's also great. A lot of great shuttling up like Bellingham and Seattle area too.
And some gnarly stuff up there too.
Really gnarly stuff. Yeah, like straight down drops, roots, rocks. Yeah, really gnarly. So so I've got that, and then I still have some relics from. So at Specialized, I was doing like mountain bikes under $2,000, but I also was doing the P series bikes. So the P3, P Slope was a bike I developed and brought to the market with it's a whole team involved, obviously. But
you're welcome. For those of you still riding that,
it is a very cool bike.
It's a very cool bike.
So I still have some of those. I've got the P Slope, P3. I have a road bike, and then Emily's got an equal arsenal as well. She has an awesome. So she has a Marin Four Corners. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Steel, like definitely gravel / trekking bike. And she's got our Pine 27.2 dropper on there. So she's got a pretty sick setup as well. She's on an Insurgent and then a Norco Orem carbon downhill bike.
Nice.
And P3.
So your garage is pretty well stacked.
The basement is stacked.
Basement.
I built these like very rickety little wood, like put the tire in it kind of racks, but they work. They work. No, awesome. It's like our little shop setup down there.
My bike obsession was pretty broad. It would have been prior to me moving to the Midwest. I was at 14, I think, bikes, just for myself, basically, right?
God,
like
dude.
my wife sometimes will ride, but not very often. At the time, I didn't have a kid, so it was pretty much just my bikes. And when we moved, I decided I should probably just pare down. So I pared down to, I think at the time, like 5 or 6 bikes. And actually, it's weird because, again, we moved back to the Northwest, and I am down to 3 bikes, and potentially maybe selling one of those.
Wow.
To go down to
You've
2.
come a long way.
Yeah, right? Like it feels weird. I feel like I'm making room for a downhill bike because we're getting a new park at the Timberline Resort.
I recommend it. They're so fun. Completely useless for anything but that, but they're so fun.
Like they're just so fun on a big mountain situation. And so maybe I'm making room for that. I don't know yet. My wife doesn't know yet. But I'm down to a 20-inch BMX bike, a little Flybikes Proton, and then a GT Ruckus dirt jumper that is mainly my pump track bike.
Those things are awesome.
And then Ibis Ripmo, and like that's. Oh no, I guess I do have one more. I have my I have a Kona Private Jake. It's not not a fancy frame in the cyclocross gravel world, but it's got a bougie build on it.
Yeah.
So like
awesome.
crazy lightweight for what it is. And I kind of have my eye on an Ibis Haka, but since I've moved to the Pacific Northwest, I haven't touched it because I'm either on the pump track or on the trails.
And that's the thing is like if you have time, you're probably going to go mountain bike.
Right.
But there's like endless fire roads and cool stuff to ride.
There's tons.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I haven't done it,
Literally,
but I keep seeing
like
it.
from our house, I can jump onto this like gravel trail thing with even like some rooty jumps and stuff on it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it leads off to this old like mining road with like it's a old flume that they've put like a walkway over that you can ride on, but it's like kind of sketchy walkway. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, but it looks awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I should definitely get out on my gravel bike and go do that. And then I'm like, but the pump track's calling.
Yeah, like
So
I could just go down the street.
I just keep going there, and you know,
awesome. I
it's
know the struggle.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from that, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, my collection's definitely pared down. So, so you do have potentially a new bike coming. Are you free to talk about the new bike?
Oh, I mean,
yeah,
I don't ride for
I don't
anyone,
want to
but
like
yeah.
make
I really want to try the Yeti SB130. I'm
Okay,
excited
yeah.
about that. I've been on the fence with a few bikes, but I had a SB6
Yeah.
a few years ago, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So yeah, I mean, we both were talking about it. We
Yeah.
cycle through a lot of bikes pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
this thing has been freaking awesome. I still
Yeah.
love this thing. Like it's incredible with what it is. 120 mil, and I'm able to ride like Black Diamond trails.
Oh yeah,
and
you
just
were
make it
shredding
happen.
today.
It's crazy.
And like,
It's just it's a really fun bike, but there are times where I wish there's a little bit more travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, like I'm not a great pedaler. Like I make it happen, but not my strong suit at all. So
Yeah.
having a little extra assistance with their pedal platform, I think is good.
Yeah.
But then like 150 up front is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Because 130 is what this is.
Yeah.
An extra 20 mils would be nice.
Yeah, and I think I haven't been on the 130 yet, but
Yeah.
if I were choosing between the 150 and the 130 personally, I think I'd go the 130.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I like shorter travel. Like I'm not like a thrasher, like just point straight down the mountain and just like
Yeah.
hit every single rock. Like I'm try to finesse the bike down.
Yeah.
So I just don't need, and I also have a downhill bike, so I don't need the one bike to
Right.
do it all, right?
Yeah.
Because 150 is like 170 up front. That thing's burly.
That's a big thing.
I mean, if I had one bike, that would be it. But
that's like a monster enduro bike right there.
sure,
That
that
thing's-
still pedals, which is pretty rad. But yeah, I think the 130 is a perfect.
Yeah, the
compromise.
130 looked real tempting to me. For me, it's like a variation on the Ritmo in a sense, right? It's that same kind of category of bike. And
Totally.
every time I talk to Jeff, I'm like, yeah, man, I have yet to find like a real problem with the Ritmo. Like it's so capable all the time, and I've taken it down some gnarly stuff, and like it's always ready for whatever I throw at it. And
I'm yet to ride one of those. I've heard really nothing but great things about them.
yeah,
But
I just saw a thing that I can't even remember who it was, but a big publication just voted it like bike of the year
No way.
or like Best Buy or whatever. Like
that's awesome.
yeah, I was like, sweet, I bought it.
Yeah.
So,
You're like, yeah, I know.
awesome. Yeah,
That's very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, any last minute things you want to share with our audience before we?
Man, we're growing quickly, and there's still a lot of people that have not heard of us, and so a big part of that is new brand. Who are these guys, and what are they about? So I mean, if any of you guys have questions, just reach out, info@pnwcomponents.com. I answer these personally. So any questions you have about bike fit, comparing us to maybe something you're on the fence between a few different products, happy to help kind of give our opinion on what sets us apart. And yeah, we've got more products coming, which is exciting. Yeah, we've got a pedal, grip, we've got the new Bachelor coming out, then a few other projects that we're just getting kicked off.
Cool. And maybe some new colors for the loam lever?
Yes, we have red, black. People want just like because we have kind of like the, what do you call it, gunmetal gray.
Yeah.
So gunmetal gray with the black pad, I think that's going to be pretty
nice,
sweet.
nice.
Yeah. And we actually, we got some OEM specs. So you're going to see these spec'd on some bikes coming out next year.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, pretty exciting.
That's like a good present to come across. Like if you buy a bike and you're like, oh, look at that.
No, I mean, I think
Like-
that's pretty, I mean, it's pretty premium like level build that they're putting them on, but I would be stoked.
Yeah, man. No, that's
Super
awesome. Well, very cool. Remember, you can actually reach out in the comments at the bottom of the YouTube video that you're watching, or if you're listening to this online, you can reach out through info. But yeah, leave us comments if you have any questions or thoughts about products or anything. Aaron's totally down for like new ideas. Yep. I told him already that like I'm gonna start throwing things his way and see if he'll make them for me.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it turns out. But remember to give us a subscribe button to our YouTube channel. Hit us up on Instagram and Facebook as well. And thanks for listening or watching today. And remember, keep pedaling.